What's going on, guys? Seth Spartan here, and I am back with none other but Coach Johnny, the Miami's, Florida's best, most experienced, I'm just going to say, bodybuilding, fitness, athletic coach. So, guys, let's get into this. Let's talk about the title. What are we going to be talking about today? We're going to be talking about what is the best bodybuilding diet, period, bar none. Usually I let Coach Johnny start off. I'd usually let Coach Johnny start off, but I want to interject something right away. Guys, the best bodybuilding diet is the diet that gives you the best results. So I'm going to answer that obviously from my perspective and what I've learned over the years. And I've got a few different, my answer is it's pretty consistent what I'm going to tell you guys after Coach Johnny goes, but it's not just one strict, consistent diet, even though you guys know me as, Mr. Carnivore, Mr. Steak and beef and everything. I stick to more so, we'll talk about this, but there is some flexibility with that. So anyways, forgetting that, let's get into this, guys. What is the best bodybuilding diet, period? Coach Johnny, take it away.
What's up, guys? So I like this topic. We're switching it up, talking about diet today. Not every video could be about PEDs. So I think the best diet is, the one that you're going to follow. So we're talking about bodybuilding. So we're talking about building muscle, putting on size. So I think a big thing that we got to realize is building muscle takes time, and you have to pick a diet that you're going to be able to follow for a long period of time to really get the results that you want. When it comes to dieting, obviously we're going to need a lot of protein for bodybuilding. I mean, we're going to need more protein than other athletics, than other goals. We're not talking about weight loss. We're talking about building muscle and burning fat. That's bodybuilding. We're not body shrinking. We're bodybuilding. So high protein is that's like our main focus is high protein, at least for me and my clients. And then depending on the person's genetics, depending on the body type, we're going to manipulate carbohydrates. So for me personally, I do the best on high protein and like lower carbs, and like fats are coming from red meat, whole eggs, salmon, stuff like that. That's what works best for me. But I do have some clients that have extreme metabolisms. Those rare body types, like the ones that would be potential pro bodybuilders, we're gonna fuel them with more carbs, depending on how much size they want to put on. So I think carbohydrates are important for certain individuals that need that extra fuel source. And basically, my diet's going to look like this. It's going to look like high quality protein coming from mostly red meat, stuff like that, whole eggs, salmon, chicken, stuff like that, like the ones that keep me more full, and just eat a good amount of that. And then carbohydrates, if I do have carbohydrates, I don't have carbohydrates every meal. Some of my clients do have carbohydrates every meal. It's going to be from like white rice, white potatoes, easy digestible sources of carbs. Ones that you could easily eat and then go train and not feel sluggish.
Yeah.
Bread.
Yeah. Let me interject here real quick, because we're gonna get to the differences between my opinion, your opinion. We'll get to that soon, no doubt. But let's talk about protein first, because we're not going to argue over the brick or the foundation of what is the best bodybuilding diet. The foundation of the best bodybuilding diet for maximum muscle mass, maximum strength, maximum performance is what? High protein. Me and Johnny are not going to fight each other on that. High protein is key to bodybuilding, period. Yeah. What I do want to say, and we got to talk about, because I can't just say, oh, high protein. And what people need to realize is that the protein source you pick is extremely important. It's not just about gram per gram, because, if we compare, if you're saying, oh, I'm eating 300 grams, if Johnny gives somebody a diet, or if I give somebody a diet and I say eat 300 grams, I'm not going to tell them to eat 300 grams if they're eating 300 grams of plant-based protein or 300 grams of only chicken or fish or other things. So the thing is that we have the macros, and then we also have the absorption rate, and we have the amino acid profile. Hopefully I don't lose you guys talking about this stuff, but this is extremely important. I used to think this way. Listen up, guys, what I'm about to say. And I'll let Johnny jump back in and say if he agrees or disagrees. But here's the bottom line truth, guys. I used to think 10 grams of protein is 10 grams of protein. It doesn't matter if it comes from salmon, fish, chicken, beef, a protein shake, or a piece of, what do the vegans do? They always do the plant-based protein and the stupid kale, right? Okay, it matters. It matters to a large extent. Why? You have two big factors, and this is the two biggest factors with protein. So me and Johnny are first going to say high protein. What is high protein? I'm going to classify high protein as about 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. I think Johnny will agree with me, but that's if you want to put on maximum muscle mass, maximum strength, maximum performance, if you want to be jacked, guys, you need 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. The only exception where you could maybe go 1.25 is if you are getting tons of calories, aka maybe like a dirty bulk, which I don't recommend anyway, because you're gonna have to cut off that fats anyways. But if you're eating tons and tons of calories, you can get away with maybe 1.25. But honestly, guys, you're better off just going full send, 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight for building muscle. I'm sorry, but it's got to be that high. Having said that, let's talk about, listen to what I'm about to say, guys. I'm only going to say this once, and this is gold, what I'm about to tell you. And it took me 10 years to learn all this. And this is coming from somebody who took nutrition in college. Well, I guess they don't teach you the good stuff anyway. But here's what you need to know. You have the protein content. We'll just take 10 grams. 10 grams of protein. The first thing to look at is what? Absorption. What is the absorption rate of that 10 grams of protein? Because if your body can't, depending on beef, chicken, whey protein, casein, especially plant-based protein, whether that's from pea or wheat or whatever, the protein content your body can absorb, that's the kicker. So, and this is why I tell people, if you are, listen up, and Johnny, you can bite me if you disagree, I don't care. But here's the point, is that if you want to be the best bodybuilder, you need to consume your protein as animal-based protein sources. Why? If you take, and let's say I take vegan protein sources, either it's from gluten-based protein, pea-based protein, that's hot. You have all these different, kale and whatever based proteins. Here's the simple gist of the matter. And I didn't know this until, not too long ago, but the truth of the matter is, if I have 10 grams, let's take beef. Beef's my favorite. Let's say we take beef or whey protein, anything, milk-based protein. We'll just take beef. 10 grams of beef protein versus 10 grams of, pea proteins, the rage. That's a vegan protein source. Guess what? Guess what the absorption is for beef? Up to 90%. What's the absorption for pea-based protein? 50 to 60. What does that mean? That means you're only getting about half of if you're getting if you're eating vegan-based protein, guess what? You're probably only getting a little over half, maybe a little over half if you're lucky. Your body can only absorb that much protein. So if it says 10 grams and it's not from an animal product, you're probably only getting about half. So if it says 10 grams, you're getting 5. If you say, oh man, I just had what has a lot of protein, if you eat a lot of what is it? Popcorn, or there's other stuff that you can eat that has a lot of, depending on what oats you get, whatever wheat you guys get, or a piece of bread, even whatever, or you get these like I was saying, this powdered protein, but it's a plant-based vegan protein. The absorption's always pretty close to about 50%, which means that whatever that protein says, 20 grams per scoop, you're about getting 10. Now listen up. What's the difference between animal products? If we're talking chicken, beef, any whey protein, anything, casein, anything from an animal source, guess what? You're getting about 90. You're getting about 90. Now it varies a little bit, but depending on what animal, but 80 to 90% versus 50 to 60. So you're getting way more of that, whatever it says on the label. You're getting way more if you eat from animal products. So I tell people, don't even mess with it. Don't even waste your time with the plant-based protein, unless you're just doing that as an add-on. You should be getting your 1.5 from what? Animal products, anything that comes from an animal. Because first off, the absorption. The second thing, I'm talking too long, but I got to give people this information. The second thing is, we talked about the absorption. The second most important thing is what? Not just how much your body can absorb, but what is the rate, or how quickly your body digests it. What people know is that if we talk about carbohydrates, Johnny, people understand there's fast, medium, and slow digesting carbohydrates, right? I can pour a bowl of frosted flakes. Oh man, I'm dieting right now. This sounds too good. I can pour a fat bowl of frosted flakes for me and Johnny, and me and him both smash a bowl of frosted flakes. Guess what? That's a fast digesting carbohydrate. Our blood sugar is going to go spike through the roof. Okay. Yeah. All right. And your insulin's going to spike through the roof. Your blood sugar is going to spike through the roof. Or I could take that same amount of carbs. We'll say 75 grams of carbs. You could take that same gram of carbs, and I say, hey, Johnny, I'm going to make a bowl of old fashioned oats for both me and you. Well, guess what? That's going to take way longer to absorb in the gut, and the insulin spike, the blood sugar spike is going to be way lower. People understand when you say that with carbohydrates, slow, medium, and fast. But what people don't understand is, guess what? There's slow, medium, and fast digesting what? Proteins. In the same way we have the slow, medium, fast carbs, we have the slow, medium, fast proteins. People don't understand that. This is extremely important. Why? Because guess what? You want, for maximum muscle mass, and this is shown in the studies, for maximum muscle mass, you want to have continual amino acid, aka protein elevation in the bloodstream. Okay, you don't want this. Put it this way, let's look at fast digesting proteins. What is super fast? And by super fast, I mean 2 hours or less. Fish digests way too fast. That's why I tell people don't eat fish for bodybuilding unless you're going to have a meal within 2 hours after. And a lot of bodybuilders are slamming fish for their preps. Well, guess what? They have a lot of time when they don't have any protein in their bloodstream. Fish is just too fast. I don't like using it unless you're going to, go out to eat with your girlfriend or wife and you want to have fish and then you're going to eat another meal later on. But I don't mess with it. It's too short. So fish, super fast digesting protein. Whey protein, whether both concentrate and isolate, they're fast digesting protein. Isolate is so extremely fast. It's out of your body. Okay. Yeah. So hang on. So fish, about 2 hours, it's out of your body. Whey protein concentrate lasts about 2 hours. That's the stuff I sell. Obviously, you guys know that, my whey protein on Amazon. And that's why my whey protein is concentrate. So fish, about 2 hour lasts, total time. Whey protein concentrate, about 2 hours. Whey protein isolate, you only got protein coverage for an hour in your bloodstream. What's the point in even doing that, So you got fish 2 hours, whey protein concentrate 2 hours, whey protein isolate only an hour. And then you got, as comparison, you got chicken, which is about right around 3 hours. And then you got, guess what? You got beef, and you got pork, and you got casein, which is what? 4 hours plus, baby. Now we're getting into some real muscle building. And that's why I tell people, guys, this is the best advice you're ever going to hear. For your protein sources, I said, me and Johnny both say 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. Okay. Well, what protein source? You want animal-based protein source because you're going to absorb more in your gut. Okay. Well, also, in terms of slow, medium, and fast digesting proteins, we've already listed what source. What do you want? You want beef, you want pork, and you want casein. Okay, those are the kings of muscle building. Chicken is okay. I mean, it's 3 hours, but it's not 4+ hours. So if you're going to opt out for chicken, maybe you're more on a budget, whatever else. There's nothing wrong with chicken. Just be advised you're going to have to eat more often than if you're eating beef or pork or casein. Okay. That's super important. And that's why, if I have a fat steak, let's say I have a 1.5 pound steak before bed, guess what? I'm going to be in pretty good shape, either earlier that morning or whenever. If you have fish or you guys understand what I'm saying? You need the coverage in the bloodstream. So you got the absorption, and in terms of absorption from animal products is way higher. So don't even mess with the stupid vegan stuff. Okay, I'm sorry if I'm offending people. That's the plain and simple truth. So animal based, and then from there we want to pick the proteins that are going to last the longest in the bloodstream, and that's going to be what? That's going to be beef, pork, and casein. Those are the top three. Then chicken being maybe not bad at all, but 3 hours. Now we're starting to trend downward. So that's what I got to say on protein. Go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, and some key points that Seth pointed out, and I tell this a lot with my clients, is that if your goal is bodybuilding, we do want our protein around 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. And I always tell people, I heard it was 1 gram. Why do you say 1.5? And I tell them, well, 1 gram is good for like the average individual who doesn't care too much about bodybuilding and they just want to build some muscle. Then yeah, they could get away with 1 gram. Like a lot of my women clients, I'll put them on 1 gram because they just want to build a little bit of muscle. But my clients want to build maximum muscle, and me, when I'm really trying to put as much size as possible, 1.5 grams is huge. That's like the bodybuilding ideal protein goal. It's about 1.5. And then, like you said in the last video, it could even go up to 1.7 if you're on a very low carb diet. If you're getting most of your
let's clarify here. In terms of best bodybuilding diet, we're talking a diet where you're building muscle or you're at maintenance. We're not talking about getting shredded for a show. Like I'm getting shredded for a show right now, and my protein's probably around 1.7 to almost up to 2, but that's because I'm not taking in basically any calories. Okay, so that's an exception. Go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, so that's huge what we said about the 1.5 grams or up, depending on your goal, especially if your goal is maximum muscle. Also, I really like what you said about the slower releasing proteins, and that's why I really like red meat, because out of the three that you mentioned, the red meat, the pork, and the casein, the red meat has the most amount of nutrition. So it has all the B vitamins and the bioavailability of iron and creatinine and all those good things that red meat has. So the protein sources make a huge difference. And ever since I started eating more beef, I do notice that I could get away with less meals and still make a lot of gains. Because like you said, if you have like fish or chicken, you're going to have to eat a lot of meals. And that's why you see a lot of bodybuilders that eat more white meat. They're consuming more meals. While
they have to. They have to.
Yeah. Yeah, your body's going to utilize the red meat a lot better because you could have less meals. So instead of having 7 meals a day, you could have 4 or 5 because the protein absorption is a lot slower. So yeah, so we have our protein at a high rate from high quality sources like red meat. That's the goal. And then
and Johnny, just so people are aware, when Johnny's saying red meat, he means beef and pork, literally red meats. Okay, those are the 2 slowest absorption. So, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I like different types of beef, like cow, bison, venison. Those are all in the red meat department. But obviously cow is the most easy available source, so that's mostly what I eat. But I'll still have bison and stuff like that. But yeah, red meat in general, beef, pork. I like those as the base, especially beef, and then depending on how well you're doing with your training and what your goal is and your genetics. Like I said, me personally and Seth personally, he does better on the lower carbohydrate diets. Some guys they might need to go higher carbohydrates depending on the situation. How many calories do they really need to eat to put on size, what their cycle is. A lot of things factor the carbohydrates. But my clients who do have a lot of carbohydrates, they would be more rice, potatoes, easier digesting, so they can eat a lot of it and continue to grow and build muscle. And, depending on the situation, there's going to be different formulas for different bodybuilders, macros, calories, and there's going to be different formulas for everybody, different goals. And then again, like what your cycle is, how big do you want to get, etc. But yeah, I like the slower releasing proteins like the red meat. And then for carbohydrates, I like rice and potatoes. And it depends on the goal of the individual. Like right now, I'm going to prefer more of a lower carbohydrate diet for myself. Seth as well, he's doing carnivore. So it's going to depend on your goal, depending on the person. And, do I add some other foods in? Yeah, I like to add in some chicken stock. I think it's good for digestion. I might pour that on my rice, or I might just drink it. I might add in some vegetables with the meals and maybe some fruit. But here's the thing. I like to keep my diet simple, eat similar foods every day. That way my body digests it and absorbs it well. And like I said, you want to pick something that you could simplify, that you could do for the long run, because building muscle takes time and you're going to be building muscle over time. So if you're having the higher quality proteins like red meat as your base, and you're having the meal plans and everything ready, and you know exactly what you're going to eat that day and everything's planned out, it's a lot better. So you could do it over time. And the best diet is the one that you're going to stick to. So if you enjoy it and you're training hard and you're working hard, you're going to be getting better results over time. So
Yeah.
think about that high quality protein, monetize your carbs how you want. Depending on your genetics, you're going to need lower carbs or higher carbs. Most people are going to do better on lower carbs for sure. That's just the high protein, moderate fats, and then the lower carbs definitely works. A lot of guys back in the day did that, like Arnold, Dave Palumbo. Those guys always believed in the higher carbohydrate diets, and those guys had great physiques. And even guys like Dave Palumbo got huge on, the higher protein, lower carbohydrate diet. So you could still build a lot of muscle on that.
Yeah, well, Johnny, they all did it. They all did high protein, medium fat, low carbs, whether it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, whether it's Franco Columbo, whether it's Sergio Oliva, whether it's Tom Platz, whether every single golden era bodybuilder, they all pretty much did that until, basically after the golden era, they broke away and they started doing to what we have mainstream. And let me just address this. So all the Schwarzenegger era bodybuilders, they used to do the diet we just talked about. And now what happened? They broke away. And now what is the commonplace? What is the standard right now for bodybuilding diet is what? High protein, high carb, low fat. That's right now what everybody does. All right. Yeah. And I'll tell you, that's what I've done. That's what I did for 5+ years is high protein, high carbs, low to moderate fats, depending on what I'm doing. Okay. And I also did the dirty bulk. Okay. Which I don't recommend. And I'll tell you why later on, but, especially for maximum muscle mass. But the thing is that here's the reason. I did a video talking about this. Okay. But the same can be, close to the same can be attributed. So here's the key, guys. This comes from, I used to be Mr. High Carb. Okay. So I'm eating no carbs right now. But here's the thing is that the bodybuilding standard right now is and I guess Johnny's somewhat controversial too now because he said, you can build muscle on low carbs. But here's the thing is that the standard right now is the same it's been since after the golden era of bodybuilding, which is what? High protein, high carbs, low to maybe moderate fats. And they tell you that's the best bodybuilding diet. If you want to get jacked, if you want to have full muscle glycogen, everything else, whatever. Okay. There's two big things here, two big things to note. Let me ask you guys this, and those people that have, actually studied anatomy will know what I'm talking about. What do you need to build muscle tissue? What do you need? What does your body require to build muscle? You need protein. You need the amino acids for the cells. You need what? Essential fats. So what do you actually need to build dense muscle tissue? You need protein and you need essential fats to make up the membrane, right? That's all you need to build muscle. Okay. And that's why that's why you can get jacked doing carnivore. You can do a bulking carnivore diet. You can eat meat, you can eat eggs, maybe some cheese, whatever, you can get huge. But here's the thing. Here's the thing is that carbohydrates, you don't need carbohydrates to build muscle at all on any level. The only reason that I would say, put some carbs in is basically as an energy source if you're not fat adapted, if you're not keto adapted, but your body does not need that to build dense muscle mass. So I address that. So, if you want to use some carbs as an energy source, that's up to you. That's fine, especially if you haven't done carnivore before. But I will tell you this. Now, you might say to me, and this is what I thought myself too, is you'd say, well, okay, if I'm eating low carbs, let's say I'm eating low carbs, aren't I going to be flat and depleted? Nope. The thing is that we have the studies now, and I'll have to post that below. But basically, long story short, is that, and I don't know if I'd have to check if it relates directly to low carb, but I know this is true for carnivore and for keto. What happens is that on a carnivore or keto diet, which is zero carbs, basically, they found that after a couple of months of carnivore or keto, your muscle glycogen levels are the exact same as if you're doing high carb, which is crazy. I know people's heads are probably blowing up right now. But the reason for this is because what happens is that the fats you're taking in, your body is basically converting whatever fat it needs to. Not only is it burning way more fat, the mitochondria inside your cells, that's the powerhouse of your cells, they will literally hypertrophy like your muscles to get bigger and stronger to burn fat faster. Okay, that's the first thing that's going to happen. And then what happens is when you have the mitochondria hypertrophy, well, you still need some glucose, right? You still need some glucose for muscle glycogen and for some tissues, right? Your brain. You can't just run on only ketones and fat. But so what your body does is it just makes the glucose it needs. It makes whatever carbs it needs. And guess what? When it makes the whatever carbs it needs, you have a steady supply of energy, rock solid throughout the day. Guys, I'm fasting now I haven't eaten since dinner last night, and it's lunchtime and I'm still fine. I feel great. But the thing is, the reason for that is because if you've done carnivore or keto for any length of time, two things are going to happen. Your mitochondria will hypertrophy, so you can burn fat just as fast as carbohydrates. Most people don't know that. So if you're keto or carnivore adapted, the mitochondria in your cells gets bigger, stronger, and your body now can burn fat super fast, just like a carbohydrate. Now, and what also will happen is that your body, because your body needs glucose, okay? Your glucose. So even though I'm on zero carbs, I'm not technically on a zero carb diet because my body's making whatever carbs I need, but it's never more than what I need. So I'm always stable. My glucose is always stable. So what's going to happen is the body's going to use whatever carbs it's making to replenish muscle glycogen. So that's the big key, but that won't happen right away. That you have to be on carnivore or keto for a few months. I don't know if that translates over to low carb. I would assume that there is some adaptation period, but I would assume that I can't give you guys the absolute details. My thing is that if you're doing consistently low carb, your body's gonna, versus carnivore or keto. My thought process is that your body's still going to activate a lot of these pathways, and your muscle glycogen will fill up. Okay, but is it to the same level as keto or carnivore? I don't know 100% certain, but I would think so if you're doing that for a couple months. So that's really the takeaway, guys. And I'll just say this before I just talk the rest of the video off, is that I compared, and I've said this for myself, this is the big take home, is that I used to be Mr. High Carb. So when I did a high carb, high protein diet, I took my how strong I was and how much muscle I had. I was squatting, at let's say 215. At 215, I was squatting 405 13 times for 13 reps on a high carb, high protein diet. Okay, let me say it one more time. This is me, Seth Spartan. At 215 pounds on a high carb bodybuilding diet, I'm doing 405 13 reps. When I adapted and switched to carnivore, I was doing 405 for 15 reps. There is a performance increase and a performance bump on carnivore versus high carb. And the thing is, Johnny knows this too. I love carbs, guys. I love them. I love carbs. I love my oatmeal and brown sugar. Oh man, I'm going to start. I love my oatmeal and brown sugar. I love jasmine rice from Aldi's. I mean, I could fill up a whole huge rice cooker full and eat the whole thing and tell my wife to leave me alone for 4 hours while I polish down a whole family-sized bag of rice. I love jasmine rice. Yeah. Anyways, so I love oatmeal. I love my oatmeal with brown sugar. I love my jasmine rice with some garlic salt and some egg yolks. Oh man, I love frosted flakes. Not as much as my rice and my oatmeal, but I love that too. I love a fat stack of buttermilk pan. I love carbs. Okay, don't get me wrong. Well, then you might ask me, well, why don't you smash your high carb diet? I don't smash my high carb diet because I'm stronger, faster, better performance, and I'm bigger and leaner doing carnivore versus doing a high carb. So it's performance. I'm not doing this for health reasons. I'm doing this because I look better and I'm better. And especially now I'm not using any anabolics with a prescription. I'm using TRT. I want every advantage I can. So am I going to eat some carbs every once in a while? Yes, I am. But I'm carnivore adapted. So if I want to go out with my wife and smash some, some different food on the weekend, I'll do that. But my base of my diet is going to be carnivore. You guys don't have to go as crazy as me, but I'm telling you guys how it is. And that's the truth about, keto, carnivore, and low carbs.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Johnny. Finish this out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's pretty cool that you talked about the performance benefit, because not only when I do carnivore,
let me say this too. I didn't believe it until I tried it. I was like, you're telling me that you're going to tell me that carnivore, which is zero carb, you're going to tell me that I can have better performance on a zero carb carnivore diet than when I'm smashing a high carb bodybuilding diet? I didn't believe it. I listened to Dr. Sean Baker talk about like a 10% performance boost. I was like, okay. So I heard about Dr. Sean Baker. He's a doctor talking about the performance boost. I heard another doctor, Dr. Anthony Chafee, talk about performance boost, on carnivore. So we got, Sean Baker does, what is it? He's a competitive rowing and weightlifting, or at least rowing. I know he's a weightlifter too, but Dr. Sean Baker talks about this performance boost. Dr. Anthony Chafee used to play professional rugby. He talks about being quicker, faster, stronger, the performance boost, 10%. And then also some college athletes. There's the guy that just set a 100-mile world record. He's carnivore. So, and runners smash high carbs just like bodybuilders do. If you're a runner, you smash carbs. So this guy too, that just broke the 100-mile world record, he's carnivore, and he just whipped everybody's butt on a carnivore diet with zero carbs. So it's like, it doesn't matter what sport you're in. And I just say this is that, so I listen to all these athletes talk, and I listen to the doctors say about how, it's about a 10% performance boost. And I'm thinking to myself, no way. I don't believe it until I try it. And this is what you guys should do. You should try it for yourself. So guess what? I was doing, my 4 or 5 pounds of red meat a day, maybe some eggs here and there, some cheese or whatever. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're breaking up slightly.
Okay.
Yeah, now. But yeah, we heard what you.
Okay. I want to make sure because it's stuttering a little bit here. Let me double check to make sure. Okay. Well, hopefully we'll still be good. Am I still? You're still looking at me?
Yeah, it's still stuttering a little bit on my end. It seems like mine is fine, but yours is a little off right now.
Oh wow. Yeah. Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, if I start stuttering, interrupt me, and I'll just let you stop. What I was going to say, guys, is that the bottom line is that I didn't believe it for myself until I tried it myself. I listened to the doctors, I listened to all the athletes, and I tried it. And guess what? I'm quicker, faster, and stronger doing carnivore, zero carb, high protein diet than I was doing a high protein, high carb diet. So I actually had to try it myself, and that's what happened with me. All right, yeah, John. Okay, now Johnny, take it away.
Yeah. So what we learned today is, you could literally thrive off high protein, especially if you're eating mostly red meat. We got those guys like Sean Baker. We got even athletes that I follow, like Chad Mendez, bare knuckle boxer, UFC fighter. He's looking big and jacked. Plenty of guys are thriving on it. Even Joe Rogan eats mostly carnivore, and Jordan Peterson and those guys. So it does have a mental boost as well. And a lot of people, they want to disagree, but there's so many testimonies of the higher protein, low to no carb diets. And from my experience, Seth, is that you could not only adapt to carnivore, but you could adapt to low carb. Your muscles could still get full when you train, and you'll still get vascular and look freaky looking on carnivore. And before we take it away, I just want to say that if you look at a lot of the guys who had that similar approach, the Dave Palumbos, the Arnold Schwarzeneggers, the golden era bodybuilders, they had like a dense muscle, less water retention look that was really cool for bodybuilding compared to like compared to some of the guys today that are like more watery and it just doesn't look right. I like that lean, hard look that the golden era guys had. But yeah, I think we covered a whole lot of good things in the video, especially the red meat, the 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. And, you don't need to go carnivore. You don't need to go low carb, but it's worth a shot, especially depending on your genetics. Am I still going to have carbs? Yeah, I'll still have carbs, but not with every meal. I'll lower them. And yeah, just the golden era guys, they looked really good compared to the guys today because of the dense look of the high protein diet, and they had less water retention, and it shows their physique real good.
Yeah. And ultimately, guys, listen to what we're saying, listen to everybody, and then guess what? Try it for yourself. If you try it for yourself, you can't go wrong, because like I said, I didn't believe it until I tried it, and I was like, wait a second. I am stronger, faster, bigger, leaner carnivore versus high carb. I'm not telling everybody they have to go now all of a sudden carnivore. No, but I'm going to say that you're going to have a lot less body fat, and you'll be a lot less lethargic if you do either low carb or carnivore. I will say that. And you guys just experiment for yourself. For yourself. That's really the big key.
Yeah, I haven't done full-fledged carnivore in a while, but every time I do, I rip off body fat, faster than I've ever had. It's kind of crazy because, you're eating more fat, you're eating a lot of calories from fat and protein, and you're just getting leaner by the day. So for me and my body type, I just thrive off the lower carbohydrate diets. And when I go low carb, it takes a few days to adapt. Sometimes it could take up to a week to adapt. That's another topic, but I really like it because I lost fat faster than I've ever had, and I stay full longer. So I think it's a no-brainer to try dieting on a low to no carb diet. At least try it, and you'll see how your body will adapt to it over a period of weeks or a period of days, and you'll drop fat like crazy, depending on your body type and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that was a good video. And yeah, thanks again for having me on, Seth.
All right, sounds good. Then we will call it there, guys. God bless. And again, experiment, try everything for yourself. Okay. But I feel like a lot of you guys, if you just try it for yourself, do it takes you about maybe a month to get adapted to carnivore, and then see, wait a second, if you're way stronger, your performance is up, maybe stick with it and, just have a cheat here and there. But that's really up to you guys. And again, I'm doing this. I can pound steak and burgers, and sometimes I'll eat a whole rack of ribs or pork steaks, or whatever. Eggs, cheese. I love all that stuff. Obviously, I would much rather be pounding carbs all the time. Yeah, I mean, I love the carbs and stuff, but the reason I'm doing it, again, it's not for health reasons. I'm doing it because I'm bigger, and it's about performance. So experiment, try everything, and then do what works best for you. All right, guys, Seth Spartan with Coach Johnny. We'll hit you with a new topic soon, and that's pretty much it. We are out of here.